Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going through the Spellbinders Crafty Advent Calendar and we're doing one window for each day, and I'm going to create something with it. So today we're on day 16, and day 16 is a really cute hello die set, and I love how it has both the script as well as the shadow. So I'm using some of the supplies from past days. Here is the dotted embossing folder, and I'm only embossing just down one side of that black piece of cardstock. Then I'm going to take some black and white cardstock and cut out the different pieces. I'm using the flower die from a previous day as well as the hello, and I'm just using some cardstock scraps here to create this. I decided to create a black and white card, but then add a little bit of lunar paste to add a touch of some subtle color. So I'm just going to die cut all of my pieces here. I'm showing you the first one, and then the rest of them, I'm just going to do them off screen. The die cutting is the same for all of it. But the great thing about these dies is they're nice and small, so I can use up a lot of different cardstock scrap pieces. So I've got all of my pieces die cut and ready to go. And I'm using some Cross My Heart lunar paste as well as Crocodile Tears lunar paste. So it's the pink one and the green one. And I love the fact that on white cardstock, it's got a subtle opalescent shimmer to it, but on black cardstock, you see a little bit more of the color. So it's really cool how it reacts differently on the light cardstock than it does the dark cardstock. I love anything interference like this, and this is absolutely no different. The cool thing about the paste is you could also use them with stencils and create some dimension. But I love just using them right on a die cut, just spreading it on a nice thin coat. I'm not trying to get any dimension here. I'm just trying to get some of that subtle color. Now, if you wanted to, you could use a brush to apply this. I find it really easy to apply it from my finger. I do tap some off on my media mat a little bit though, so I don't have quite so much there. I want to make sure to be able to kind of control the color a little bit. Now, when it comes to the black, this is the one that I said you'll see a little bit more of the color right on the black. And I'm doing a combination of both the pink and green on there just to tie the colors in from the white cardstock as well. I like how it enhances an embossed surface as well, so it makes it really, really pretty to incorporate the color that way. And it's not in your face color, like it's not bright and bold color, it's just a nice subtle color on that black. And because I'm adding such a thin layer of color on here, it's going to dry within minutes. It's going to dry really, really quickly. So I don't need to worry about waiting a long time for it to dry before I can work on creating the card. So I'm adding that green to the white leaf and stem die cuts as well, just to incorporate that color in there. I added a little bit to the background or the shadow of the hello as well. Once again, because I was putting it on all of the other die cuts, I kind of thought it would look weird to have just one plain white piece of die cut or white piece of cardstock here, so I added that green to it as well. And then before moving on, I'm just using a baby wipe here to clean off my surface. You could use a damp cloth as well. It cleans off really, really easily and really nicely. Now that everything is ready to go, I can put my card together. I'm using some Barely Art glue here. I just got it, so this is my first time using it to put something together. I'm using the fine tip. I'm not using the precision one because even though I'm using some die cuts, they're not really, really fine, intricate die cuts that I need to have that metal tip on. I do like to put the glue all over my background, and then I hold it down with an acrylic block so it keeps my hands free to work on other things. I'm going to put the script onto the shadow for the hello, and I like to do this with a pair of tweezers, hold it in my hand, that way I don't have my fingers in the way. I can put glue more where I want it and don't have to worry about getting it on my hands as well. I use a pair of reverse grip tweezers, so without holding it, it holds it tight, and then I squeeze it to open it up. These are handy to have when you're crafting because sometimes you need to put glue on something and then put it down and it still holds it. You don't need to be holding it to hold it closed in order to keep its grip on it. So I use mine all the time. These are so many years old. I want to say they're probably about 10, 15 years old, probably closer to 15 really. They used to have some yellow grips on them and I used them so much those grips eventually fell off. But the tweezers themselves still work really, really well. Now I'm going to glue the flower layering them on top of each other. You could use them as separate flowers. I like them layered on top. It gives it a little bit of extra dimension to it. I did do a previous video with this calendar where I snipped them and then curved them. Here I'm just doing them flat again. But if you want to get a little bit of extra dimension in your flowers, go check out that video. They're really easy to just take a pair of scissors and snip off or snip in and extend that petal and give them some curve and some dimension that way. I did glue down the flower here, and then I'm tucking the bow or bud sprigs as well as the leaves underneath. If that bothers you to be picking it up with that wet glue on it, you could just lay it there and not glue it down and just tuck those pieces in and then glue that flower down last. Because that glue is liquid, it takes a little bit for it to dry, so you're not really moving anything or having a negative effect on that adhesive. It's nice to have it kind of stick in one spot and make sure that it doesn't shift or move on you. And when I lift it up, I'm only lifting the outside of the petal. I'm not lifting the center of the flower, so that is still staying stuck. So now that I have all of the pieces here, this is the finished card. You could take some stickles or some glossy accents if you want and put that in the center of the flower. I chose not to for this one. I thought it would be a little bit too much. Before putting my glue away, I took my fine tip off and then put the storage tip on, and I'm just using the needle that comes with it to make sure to clean out that tip and make sure there's no glue left in there. I like to use a baby wipe with this. I'll put the pin through and then wipe it off with that baby wipe and then put it away once I don't have any more glue coming out. Always a good idea to make sure they're not going to clog. So here is the final result from the card. I love that very simple color scheme and just the hint of color. I think it looks really very simple, but also elegant. Thank you so much for joining me for day 16. I'll see you tomorrow for day 17.